Go ahead.
Thanks so much. My job now is to introduce my good friend, Rachel Kemp. Rachel, can you join us up here? The first initiative that we put forth was to engage our urban community, and I've asked Rachel to do it. And I also want to thank Rachel and Amanda. Rachel is from Boston. Folks, can I have your attention for a second? Rachel is from Boston, and Rachel nominated me, and I want to thank her again for doing that. Second, so I'm going to turn it over. Yeah, let's get a picture here. The three of us. So I'm going to turn it over to Amanda. I mean to Rachel. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Rachel.
All right.
Hey, another round.
As Jim said, my name is Rachel Kemp, and I represent the 2nd Suffolk District in the city of Boston. No? Can you hear me now? How about this? Okay.
And don't be afraid to move closer.
Took a bath this morning, so I'm all good.
Squeeze.
And I'd like to acknowledge my counterpart, Brendan O'Connor. So we represent an area that begins at the far end of the Boston Harbor Hotel, goes all the way to Milton, halfway down the middle of Boston, Chinatown, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, Hyde Park, Roslindale, and the 2 islands in the ocean that have people. There are Republicans out there. So we have always looked at our district and tried to figure out what can we do to become a viable, visible entity in the city of Boston. We're the district where Charlie Baker lost. He lost to Jay Gonzalez. Who is that? Jeff Deal received the same number of votes that Scott Brown received when he lost to Elizabeth Warren. It's not a coincidence. And the reason why that is happening is that we are no longer visible. We're a name on a piece of paper, but people don't see us, they don't feel us, they can't engage with us. We're not outward looking. And we have to meet people where they are. So instead of talking about diversity, we talk about inclusion. We're including everyone. We've reached out to the Massachusetts log cabin. That means that my problems and Brendan's problems in Ward 8 are solved because that's where they are. We can now organize that ward. And we're reaching out not only to already acknowledged Republicans, but also people who are first generation. I am first generation in this country, and I have been a Republican since the age of 18. We talk about freedom. We talk about prosperity. That's what this party is all about. It's about prosperity and freedom. So how do we get there? Chairman Lyons has already begun his listening tours. He's listening to the grassroots that we represent. And then we will build the infrastructure to support the party and the RTCs, the wards. That's what's missing at this point. And you have to customize it. Every city is different. The people that we're targeting in Boston don't necessarily read newspapers. They listen to the radio. 1060 a.m. is what they listen to every single Sunday morning. You want to get a political message across? That's where you go. We have to recognize the need for infrastructure. So Brendan and I, along with Chair Lyons, we will be building that infrastructure to make this not a passing fancy, but something that becomes long-term, where we do become a viable party in the city of Boston, in all of our cities, because it's just not the suburbs that love the message, it's also Dorchester. I'll tell you a short story. When I first became state committee person, I lived on a street where there were 2 Republicans, and one died. That put me in a bad situation. So I sat out on my sidewalk and I gardened. And everyone came up and down the street. I asked them, how do you feel about Republicans? What do you want from Republicans? Do you think you're a Republican? There are now 7 Republicans, registered Republicans, on my street.
Wow.
It can be done, but it becomes a personal ask. It's really identifying yourself so that people can feel who we are. Somebody earlier said, don't let the other folks define who we are. Define yourself. Talk to your neighbors and really help us as grassroots activists to build the infrastructure that is customized for your location. That way, we won't be here tomorrow, gone the next day. So there's much more to come. If anyone has questions, I think I have a couple, 2 minutes.
Absolutely, yep.
I have 2 minutes left, so ask questions.
What I've tried to do is I've gone out to like a Worcester Fall River and I tried knocking on doors there, and I have a really huge problem with like transients and bad addresses and things just aren't there. Have you had any experiences with where you can reach those people, something that's more effective than just an old list where it's like, well, we don't even know?
Cleaning up the lists are important. I have walked the district to get my signatures to be on the ballot. So every time I do that, I clean up the list. And I will tell you that the city of Boston, I took my list to them and I said, this isn't even a house. This is a rail yard. And it forced the BRA to redo all of the maps, the voting locations, because they weren't there. So it's a job, it's a yeoman's job, but it needs to be done because people, when they get those little census cards, they don't turn them in. That's an important piece. So there's no better way yet, but we're working on it.
I have one. I understand what you're saying. You bring people in.
Yep.
But I'm going to go back to the last election. All right. I know people who probably only had a few $100s to run, and there was other people with thousands of dollars to run. And when you look at it, just like the past elections, they always end up with about 35 to 38%. And that there's something. I think yes, we can go out and get them, but that's not necessarily saying the Democrats are better, because I think there's 60% of the state is unenrolled. So we're losing a lot of the unenrolled to the Democrats. So the message, yes, it's good to get the Republicans for our committees, but we're losing something here.
But that is why within state committee, we are going to begin the process of working towards cleaning up our brand so that we can then, with one voice, one message for all. Not a message for black people, not a message for Latinos, none of that. It's one message. That's the message that we will hit the streets with. That's the message that we'll do on the local cable TV shows. That's the message that we'll do on the radios. So it's beginning with that message. And also, I feel, this is just my personal opinion, you can't ask someone to run and not give them money. So there's a gentleman in the 2nd Suffolk who is going to run against Aina Presley. Now, Aina Presley just beat Capuano. He doesn't have any money to run. We're going to start in June raising money specifically for his campaign. His name is Mike Kemp, no relations, but, he needs the money to run against a machine. We can't expect him to become a cultivated candidate, to have his messaging down pat, to be able to get out to the media on $10,000. So it's the obligation of the ward chairs, the RTCs, to begin the process of raising money for the candidates, which augments what they get from state committee.
In 2000,
I can't hear you.
in this last election, the RNC also gives significant millions of dollars to our GOP. Did that money go to the necessary candidates to run their campaigns correctly this last election?
RNC money goes to the Mass Victory offices, and that's something that you should address with Chairman Lyons.
Yeah, I can tell you that there was money that came in from the RNC, but money is, there's so many reporting requirements, so RNC money came in to help fund the Mass Victory offices. So when people wonder why RNC money coming in won't go to, Mark Mazzina, who's running in Peabody, who, a good friend who we all wanted to win, the Mass GOP has to raise a separate set of money, or the governor raises a separate set of money that builds a pool of money that can go towards legislative candidates. So they have to be careful with where money gets used for what.
Yes, as you can see by the room.
I can't hear you.
As you can see by the room, we don't quite have the demographics reaching out to minorities.
No. We don't say minorities anymore. That's a Democratic term for, that means less than. We have
Rachel, did I just interrupt? That's the first thing Rachel taught me.
Is that right?
How to use and how to speak. And
They
that's so
brainwashed
important
us.
that we have.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel.
no worries.
Can you say that again so we know how to respond to people?
So let this gentleman,
I'm sorry.
I was corrected, but I wasn't finished.
sorry.
So when we reach out, as I said, we don't have the demographics. How do communities like ours help in maybe little ways that we can to reach out to areas that need our support?
Well, we're going to build a toolbox that everyone will be able.
What?
A toolbox.
We're going to build a toolbox to help with the outreach initiatives. And you will, whatever, let's say for instance, you live in a community that has 2% of a different demographic. We'll know who they are, how they vote, where they communicate. And that's where you begin to reach out to them. You begin to invite them and to be welcoming. And, the more that we can do this, the more that it will work.
So, because there's a million questions,
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that the last half hour of this is an opportunity for people to meet with Rachel, and I want to admire Rachel for her soft-spoken voice. I've never had that particular issue, but you know, if it's probably better if she circulates and people talk with her about their questions, because we want to roll it into the last phase of our workshop. So thank you, Rachel.
That lady has
Yep,
one
go ahead,
question.
Laura.
I just wanted to say that it seems like the last 30 days in a campaign, that's when all the advertisements come out and all the ads. We need to have social, not just social media, we need ads. We need to talk about what's happening with our candidates now. Poor Lenny, I mean, he was slammed. Poor Jim, I ran my butt off in my town trying to help them. But all of those lies could be countered if we took the opportunity for positive media, positive ads, and combined maybe multiple candidates on similar issues so they know what's happening.
Well, the media doesn't have to pay publicity. We have representatives from our county on every single station, every day.
Let me respond. If you've never seen a Republican, you'll believe a lie.
If you've never seen a Republican, you'll believe the lie.
If you've never engaged with one, you'll believe the lie. So we need to become more visible. That is our responsibility.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you so much.
Rachel, thank you. Listen, all right, we are going to break out into group sessions. We promised everyone this is going to come to a hard stop at 12. A couple of quick things. First of all, Chairman Lyons has asked that everybody in the room send him an email. His email is being taped up in the back by the coffee machine. jlyons@massgop.com. Shoot him an email so he has your email. Number one. Number two, anyone who's going to have lunch afterwards, the Kowloon is open. Let's have some lunch downstairs and have some fun. Number three, when we leave here, any paper that you have, if you could please take it with you. If you don't want it, place it on the table in the back. Right now, we're going to break up into sections based on where you are located geographically.
Hold on, I have number 4 before we do that. Number 4, please make sure your name and email address is on those sheets in the back, because Luke and I are going to be collecting it and sending out the info to the rest of the state committee so that they know who came, who they can reach out to, and help everybody coordinate with each other.
Yes. Oh, Alva?
I want to say something to the audience.
All right, hold on. Wait a second, though. Wait. So, all right, now we're going to break up. We only have 30 minutes left, and we are going to break out into groups. This is an opportunity for all of those who have additional things to share to please get out so that we can start an implementation process. That is going to be very important. If you have other things that you want to get back to the party that you have not shared yet verbally, you can put it out on these notepads. Write it down, as Amanda had said earlier. This is all what we're going to regurgitate into something formal to submit to the party and to all of you who we have the email with. So we keep open lines of communication. All right, breaking out into some groups. Let's start looking at who's located where geographically. So I think we can do this by regions. So if you are Saugus, Wakefield, Melrose area, let's maybe meet towards the back. Yeah, right in the back. Raise your hands in the back. Perfect. If you are Bruce Tarr Senate District, Lenny Mira, Jim Lyons area, come on. Brad Hill, Brad Jones,
This corner.
coming over and meet in this corner over here. And, yep, if you are Beverly, Peabody, Danvers, that neck of the woods, meet towards the center. What other towns and areas do we have? Yep, Winchester, Woburn, Malden. Let's meet towards the middle section back, right there. Raise your hand for me in the back, right up over here. Do it again. Central, yeah. And the two people from Central.